Hey guys, it's Lisa Kay here. Here to talk about real estate. I love working in real estate. I am here in South Florida, and I want to talk today about the National Association of Realtors, the changes that are taking place with commissions. Yes, everybody should understand this. If you're going to be in the market either as a buyer or a seller, you are going to be affected. The changes took place in Florida on August 17th, and basically it boils down to this. Each side, either the buyer or the seller side, has to pay their own commissions to their agents. So if you're a seller and you have a seller's agent, you're going to work out an agreement for commissions with that seller agent. And if you are a buyer out there looking to buy, then you're generally going to work out an agreement for a commission with the buyer's agent. That's supposedly the way it's supposed to work in theory. But in actuality, it probably isn't going to work that way. I was talking with some of my colleagues, and they were saying that, think about sometimes buyers don't have extra commission money beyond their down payment or whatever it takes to purchase a property. And so it could present a lot of difficulty for buyers in some cases. That's some thought. But in actuality, the way I figure it's really going to work is that if a seller is motivated and they really want to sell that property, then they are still going to offer a commission to a buyer's agent to bring a buyer to purchase that property. So the one thing that you won't notice anymore is that commissions will not be listed in the multiple listing service. A lot of realtors are members of multiple listing services where they can see properties in real time that are being put on the market, that are being sold. Realtors have this information, and before August 17th, we were able to actually see what the commission was that was being offered on a particular property being sold. Now, that information is no longer allowed to be put in the multiple listing service. So buyer's agents will not be able to see what the commission is that's being offered. The only way you're going to find out these days, you're going to have to pick up the phone and you're going to have to call that listing agent or the seller's agent in this case, and you're going to have to ask, what is the commission that's being offered? That's how you're going to know. So there's going to have to be a lot more conversations taking place between agents in order for this information to be obtained. So the other thing that I think is really interesting is that before an agent takes out a buyer to look at properties, the rules call for having the buyer sign something similar to a buyer's broker's agreement or a showing agreement, some type of document that says that if I show you this property and you end up purchasing the property, this is the commission that you and I have agreed to that you will pay. Now, in actuality, how this is going to work, because here's the rules and here's how it really is going to work. So in actuality, what's going to happen a lot of times is you may make an agreement with a buyer, if you're a buyer's agent, that buyer is going to pay you 3.5% upon the sale of that property. But what happens is that buyer's agent will then, find out or talk to a seller's agent, and the seller's agent will say, hey, well, we're offering 3% to any buyer's agent that brings a buyer. And in a case like that, if you made an agreement with your buyer for 3.5%, and then you find out on a property that the the listing agent or the seller's agent is offering 3%, then you're going to make an agreement, a subsequent agreement with your buyer to reduce that commission by the amount that the seller is offering. You understand what I'm saying? So if the seller's agent, if the seller is offering 3% and your buyer has just made an agreement with you to pay you 3.5%, you're going to end up with some modified agreement with your buyer, which indicates that the buyer will then only pay you 0.5%, right? Because you're collecting the other 3% from the selling side. So that's how it's going to work. I hope it doesn't sound too convoluted, but I was talking to my broker at Balustrade Real Estate here in South Florida, and a brokerage firm that I'm very proud to be a member of, by the way. They've been around since the 60s, and a very, very, very seasoned broker who we love, Jim. But at any rate, what my broker was saying is that if you really think about it, buyers have always paid commissions. For some reason, people want to look at it as if before the new changes with the National Association of Realtors and the commissions and all that, people looked at it as if only the sellers paid commissions to a buyer's agent. But in actuality, how does this really work? So under the old way of how things worked, a seller would offer a commission to the listing agent, right? And then at closing, when a buyer pays the money to purchase the property, it's how the buyer's agent and the seller's agent gets paid. Once the buyer pays the purchase price for the property, the commissions come out of there. So the buyer has always participated in paying commissions. It's just a different way how things will occur now. But essentially, I think it's going to work out just about the same, but it's just a different way. It won't be mentioned. We'll have to figure out the commissions on the front end and then have subsequent conversations and agreements with our buyers about the agreement of what that commission should be. And it's all negotiable. Under the new rules, it's all negotiable.